Sunshine Sterling. Willie Rain Club. It's time for 3 Up, 3 Down. This is the Sports Source.
All right, that's right. 3 Up, 3 Down, that is our segment, and it's brought to you today by Scrambled Jake's Breakfast Company in Rocky Hill, famous for their spectacular cinnamon rolls. They have sold 26,000 cinnamon rolls in 2 years, and you should see these things. They're monstrous. But they're also a great local alternative to Starbucks and Panera. Great food, great atmosphere, perfect for business meetings, lunch meetings, meeting of friends, whatever you're doing there. Scrambled Jake's Breakfast Company. I've been out there, had a couple of business lunches out there, business breakfast out there. Great stuff, great stuff. Scrambled Jake's. And the next time you're thinking, well, we'll take the company down to Starbucks, head out to Rocky Hill, get to Scrambled Jake's, and get a much more local feel to your morning. Scrambled Jake's. All right, want to welcome in the last two members of our panel down there. The Doves are with us now. The Vultures are down here, but the Doves are VFL Daniel Hood and VFL Sterling Hinton. And I will say this for Daniel, he's kind of been shoved into the Dove role. but Sterling is pure Dove down there. Right. All right, we got the 3 ups, we got the 3 downs. We're going to do it a little differently this week. We're just going to do number 3 up, number 3 down, number 2 up, and we'll count our way to the best and the worst. Who is your number 3 up?
Number 3 up, Ja'Wuan Jennings. Once again, he brought fire. He brought that verb, that vibe that we need at our wide receiver position, which is still, I believe, wide receiver U. And I tell you, I'm happy about the way Ja'Wuan Jennings is playing.
Showed a lot of drive, bravado, stick to it.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stick to it. That stuff, baby. I love it, baby.
He talked a big game this week and supposedly led this week on the practice field and has all off season and certainly played it. Showed up on the field. And the question is, we discussed this on your show Friday, how many people are going to follow him? Because how far that guy has come in the last 12 months is pretty impressive.
And he was their blocker on the edge. I mean, they used him in that set with the 2 tight ends to him flow outside and block off the edge. He played a great game in blocking as well, not just receiving.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about number 3 down, Jimmy and Will. Who you got?
You got Ryan Johnson. There were just a couple times in those plays, in the short yardage plays, he was getting knocked in the backfield. Now, as I said, Garantano has some fault and blame to that, how the snap count is going. But then when you saw Ryan Johnson scrape off the center of the nose guard and to try to get to the second level, he almost never touched the linebacker, ever, in that entire game. He just had a lot of whiffs. I just thought that his gameplay, being an older guy in this system, you can't not get in front of the guy. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
All right, who's your number 2 up?
Number 2 up, and even overcoming some offensive line issues, had to be Ty Chandler and Eric Gray.
Absolutely.
You look at how they ran the football, I think overall averaged almost 5 yards a carry. And Eric Gray's little change of direction that he has that you saw in the first quarter, it's going to be special. That's special.
I like that stuff.
And as good as Gray looks, I mean, you can't say enough about Chandler last. 26 carries because they only had the 2 scholarship running backs ready to go last night. 26 carries, which is a lot, 154 yards for Chandler. So good game to those 2.
Yes, sir.
Give him the ball more.
Okay, who's the number 2 down?
Alontae Taylor. He's a cornerback that did not cover the guy it's a cover 3, and he was too close to the line of scrimmage. The guy got behind him. He's a sophomore in college. He should know better. A sophomore in high school should know better than that. He just really blew the assignment. And I know that Pruitt was asked after the game, was Taylor rattled going into the overtime? He said he should have been after I chewed him out, basically.
And he
what
did.
He said. But, that's just an inexcusable play. I know he'll learn from it, but you should have known before to not let somebody get behind you.
And his eyes were looking inside the entire time. He didn't even look at his man, and that's what got him out of court. Having to spin around, he never looked at his man.
All right, number 1 up, Doves.
Number 1 up, and I've been complaining about it all week last week, but I got to give my hats off to the Tennessee fans. You guys gave the needling effect that we need for our Tennessee Volunteer football team every Saturday. I mean, you disrupted the offense for BYU. You were loud. You were into it. Don't stop. Get it, baby.
It'll be interesting to see how much they get it against Chattanooga. But they deserve a lot of credit.
Man,
now, there were a lot of BYU fans who made the trip from Utah as well. But when you draw 92,000 coming off what was the worst loss in UT history in recent times, fans do deserve a big round of applause. And, Will, we were texting during the game. they were disruptive.
They were disruptive,
there were times
baby.
where they bothered
Yeah.
BYU's
They made a
offense.
couple plays.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just
They
face
did.
it. They had that one snap in the backfield with the guy motioning across, and that was all the fans. That was noise.
All right. And number one down. He hasn't been mentioned today.
Garantano. I mean, it's pure and simple. I mean, even his touchdown pass should have been an interception, and he should have had two more on top of the one he already had. He just didn't play well. He was late on most of his throws. Most of the day, it just didn't look good. It didn't look like a guy. And let's face it, the coaches at the end of the game were not trusting him to be able to make certain throws.
Right. They kept going to vertical routes, and let's take a look here. This is a very simple little draw up. All right, let's take the graphic out if we're good. All right, when you hear them talking about vertical routes, that's what they're running. Now, what's the big obvious hole there? It seems they don't trust him to throw over the middle of the field. If you're continuing to run those vertical routes, that pretty much tells you that by the fourth quarter, they didn't want him throwing across the middle anymore.
I think he earned that lack of trust. With the touchdown that Will talked about to Jennings was tipped and could have easily been intercepted, and then he threw the pick at the start of the second half, which was another throw over the middle. He's not seeing the field well. He's not making good decisions. I don't know. I think he's regressed from last year. I don't know the reasons, but I'll say this. I have enough faith in Jim Chaney to figure it out. He figured it out with Jonathan Crompton in 09, right?
Yeah.
Crompton
It
didn't
took-
have a
it
great
took a
start.
month to get there.
It did, and maybe it's going to take a little while before they get back on the same page. So I have enough faith in Chaney to get it there. But right now, Garantano is not playing at the level I thought he would.
I keep messing his name up, but somebody tweeted me earlier and said that Jarrett Garantano was better than Jarrett Garantano. And he has regressed. I know people blamed him last year for the loss. He wasn't the reason you were losing last year. Now, by not taking care of the football, he's part of the reason you're losing. That he has regressed. Sterling, let me ask you something. Something I brought up all summer. This is his third offense in 3 years. Said 4 coordinators. Is that could that possibly be one reason for not trusting what he sees? Because he is not confidently dropping back and throwing that. As a matter of fact, before you answer this, Will, what did you notice last
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is when he has to hum it in there, basically in between the linebacker and the safety, what you're starting to see him do, we talk about offensive linemen making false steps. It gives the defensive lineman a half second. What he's doing is taking his hand off and patting the ball before he throws it to that guy. What's the problem with that? If I'm a linebacker or safety in a zone read, what I'm doing is leaning towards your eyes, but the indicator for me to go to my guy is your hand coming off the ball. So by him doing that pat, he's giving them a half second to basically close the window, and that's what's causing a huge problem for him.
Sterling.
Yes.
Now, back to that kind of not confident in what he's reading, not confident to get rid of the ball on time. Could that be a product of so many offenses in so many years?
I can tell you it's absolutely a product of that. It's hard to learn everybody's position on offense through 3 different offenses. And he's had that many coaches also. So, offense is like, you work together. It's all continuity. And as a quarterback, you have to anticipate what's about to happen before it happens. And that comes through time and development and everyone being comfortable inside the offense and the play called at the moment. Jarrett Garantano has incredible ability. I know him and Chaney get it together. I know this personally because I know the ability he has. I know both of them as people. When it happens, I want to make sure, I hope it's enough to get some big wins for our Tennessee Volunteer football team.
When you talk about anticipating what's going to happen,
Yes.
there are every time it seems like he's waiting for the guy to come open before he throws, as opposed to throwing it, anticipating him coming open. And that's the difference between a touchdown pass and the DB having an extra step and knocking it down, which you saw a couple of potential touchdown passes last night.
And it happens. And you got to remember, he's got different guys playing out different positions now, running different type routes that you have to know what's going to happen. And sometimes the extra millisecond is all the DB or defense needs. And when those indicators that defenses look for out of quarterbacks, like Will just highlighted, those are things that, they happen during the course of a game, and everybody has tendencies to help you play better. So now we have to get our tendencies to help us play better and know what they're going to do and do it before they know they're going to do it.
Okay, now we're about 80 minutes over. But I will say this before we go to break. One other thing just to keep in mind. Garantano, I don't think, has looked the same since that concussion he took against Missouri last year. We wondered, Vanderbilt last year, he came back and we wondered, should he have been playing because he didn't look the same. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look confident. He hasn't looked the same since that Missouri hit. I'm not saying that's the connection. I'm just making a clear observation. There was pre-Missouri hit and post-Missouri hit, and it looks like a different guy. Anyway, when we come back, we'll try and make up some time, but we got a big second guess. Jeremy Pruitt goes for it on 4th and 1 with about 3 minutes to go. He had a 47-yard field goal sitting there. Did he make the right call? Come on back.